Hello guys, welcome back to another video. My name is Vanessa. If you guys are new here, welcome to my channel. I just recorded a sit down video recently, so I kind of want to start posting more of these and I hope you guys enjoy. I did like a new makeup look today and I feel like it looks really bright on camera, but it doesn't look like that in person. But I have a ring light, so I think it's like emphasizing on it. But anyways, so today's video, I just want to talk to you guys a lot about singleness and what my experience has been like going through singleness, what I've gone through, things that I have struggled with, and maybe it could shed some light onto your situation if you're going through a season of singleness as well. And I kind of just want to talk to you guys about like the hardships of it, the benefits of it, and just like my outtake on it, what my life has looked like, my dating life, my, I guess, life as a Christian, and singleness, because it can be hard sometimes, you know. And I feel like it's also not really talked about too much about how to deal with things like this. And you know, sometimes people stay silent, and it can kind of be hard because you feel like you are a little bit isolated. So today I'm your friend, and I just want to talk to you guys about how to be content while being single. So I know we kind of get like that rap of, it's almost like something to look down on when someone's single sometimes. The society has kind of made it that way for some reason. But I just want to say to you that that is not true. Being single is something that God calls a lot of his people to, and it's very important to be in a season of singleness. And the reason it's important is because when you're in a season of singleness, you are growing. You're growing with God, you're growing with yourself, you're discovering things that you like, things you don't like. And I think the biggest thing of it all is you're deciding and figuring out who you are. And that's a huge part of being a human because when you don't know who you are and you just jump straight into a relationship with someone else, it can get a little confusing because you're still trying to figure yourself out, but you're kind of combining your life in a sense with someone else. And I'm not saying that it's bad to be in a relationship at a young age, or if you are in a relationship right now and you're watching, I mean it in a bad way, like, because there's definitely times where people are, you know, dating and they're growing together, and I think that's amazing. But at the end of the day, you have to know who you are and they have to know who they are. And sometimes that takes a couple months, a couple years. Usually it takes years. It takes experiences happening to you, hard times, hardships, trials, tribulations, all of these different things to really know who you are. And you know, going through school and high school and things like that, I feel like we weren't necessarily taught to discover who we are and things that you like and what makes you who you are. But instead you kind of just go through the motions and you're just going there to socialize and get a degree and look at the cute boys. And I know that's what I was doing in high school. So yeah, so I guess just a little bit about me. And a question that I get sometimes is, how do you stay content while being single? And I'm 22 and I've actually never had a serious boyfriend. I've never had like a full term, sorry, I keep checking my phone. I need to like put it in the other room because okay, sorry. But I've never had a full-time, like serious full-time boyfriend, and I think that is okay. You know, it's something that I'm okay with, and I can share with you guys a little bit about like my story. But at the same time, I think I often went through, and still do sometimes, go through hard times where I almost question myself. I'm not at that point anymore, which is amazing, but there's a season where I would go through this and I would just cry because I was like, so many people I feel like they're ahead, like they have boyfriends and I don't. But I wasn't even necessarily sad about it. I think I was just sad that the pressure that society was putting on me and putting on the world in general, girls my age in high school, college, to have a boyfriend, especially around like Christmas time and the holiday times. I think it's like super emphasized. And I just remember like kind of being a little bit sad and questioning and asking God like why everybody else has boyfriends and I don't. And, you know, I think what it comes down to is standards and knowing who you are. And I think for a long time, for me, I wanted to get to a place, and I still am, and I want to get to a place where I am not putting my confidence in anything outside external. And I just feel as if like I'm in this life, and I am on this life for a purpose, to discover what my purpose is, to get into a career, to do all these different things. And for me, putting a boy at the forefront of doing that seemed like really challenging, because I thought that it would be like messing up my groove of things, like if that makes any sense. So I don't know, at a younger age, I kind of just like didn't want to necessarily put myself in that position. Now there's also a side to that where it's like you can't be afraid to get hurt, obviously, but it's very important to guard your heart. The Lord says to guard your heart and do that very cautiously, and you don't just give your heart to anyone. But for me, I do know that I've been working almost on the opposite, where it is okay to open up. It's okay to do things that, you know, maybe are outside your comfort zone, especially when it comes to dating. And yeah, with all that to say though, you know, growing up, I did have a couple guys that I would talk to. I remember I've like been in a couple of serious types of like almost like emotional relationships where I've almost dated people, and I've like, I guess, almost committed to that, and then just, you know, the Lord kind of drew it back and said not right now. So, you know, that was hard for me as well, because I wasn't sure, like I kind of wanted it, but then I really felt like God was calling me into a season to just, you know, grow with him. So I think that's super important. I think it's important to shed light on the other side as well, because that's kind of where I'm at. And I think when you are going through a hard time with being in singleness, and people are making fun of you, or they are saying things, because I've had a lot of backlash too, and I think a lot of it's actually been not necessarily backlash, but just more confusion and questions, like, you know, people saying you could put yourself out there, like, why aren't you on Tinder, why aren't you trying to get a boyfriend? And I just know that that's just people's fear instilled in them, and they're putting it onto me, because I want a relationship that's built on trust, communication. I want a relationship where it's not just external. They're not just looking at you from what you look like. And I think that in itself is hard to find in this society, and especially growing up, because I think going through high school and those ages, like no one's really looking at it in that way. Maybe some are, but a majority are just looking at like outward appearance, like, are you attractive? Am I attracted to you? Like, let's just date. But it actually can really mess up a lot of things about yourself. It could really bring out some insecurities about you. And, you know, when you're putting your confidence into other things other than God, and I've done that too. I've done that so many times. I used to put my confidence in, you know, social media, and I used to put them in my accolades when I played sports, and I used to put them in my grades, and I would put them in my school, and I'd put them in all these different things that at the end of the day just ended up not ever helping me, because when I was putting them in those things, they just would let me down. You know, if I got a bad grade in my exam, I would just put my worth into my score of my exam, and therefore it would alter how I essentially looked at myself. And from that, I just didn't want to be in a relationship, because I knew that I had to do some healing. Because if I'm going to date someone and I can't see my worth, how would I ever expect them to see my worth? And it also can bring out insecurities. And so with all that to say, I think it's extremely important to go to God, ask him to help you with the season of singleness that you're in. Singleness is not a bad thing. I just like want to put a preface on that. I have seen the most growth that I've ever had in my whole entire life in certain seasons where I'm genuinely content being single. And I think a huge thing that comes with being single is having faith and trust. Because when you have faith and trust, and you trust in God, and you trust the process, it goes to show that you don't have to try so hard. Like, have you ever heard the saying that everything happens for a reason? Or, you know, you just trust the process and see how that goes. And I think I'm a huge advocate on that, because I think a lot of the times when we're looking for things, they sometimes just fall in our lap, and we didn't do anything to do it. And that's something that I live by that. Like, I don't just say it, you know, like I actually live by it. And I think that's what's really helped me a lot. That and trusting God that he is working on my husband while I'm working on myself. And if we're not meant to be together right now, it's because I still have a lot of things to figure out, and so does he. So, see, I don't have fear that I'm never going to meet someone, because I trust the Lord and he gives us the desires of our hearts. And I'll share with you guys a little story that I think helped me, because when I was 18, I do remember I went through a really hard time actually in college, because all of my friends had boyfriends at that time. I think almost every one of them, and I still was the only one who didn't have a boyfriend. So like I'm trying to say to you guys, I always knew this about singleness. I was always content, and I was always like, okay, God, like whatever you want to do, whoever you want to bring me, whenever, what time. I was super confident in that. But my confidence started to shake a little bit when I would see that my friends were having boyfriends and stuff. And I literally deliberately remember this like it was yesterday. I was living at home, and I went home, and my mom was there, and she was cooking me dinner, and I was just sitting at the table, and I just looked super sad, and she was like, what's the matter? And I was like, I don't know. And then I just started bawling my eyes out, like literally crying so hard. And I was like, I don't know, like I just feel like there's no one out there for me. Like I'm never gonna find my husband. Like I don't know, why do all my friends have boyfriends and I don't? Like, what's wrong with me? Is there something wrong with me? Should I be settling for someone else? Like, should I like have a boyfriend at this time? And she just looked at me and she was like, Vanessa, you have to continue to just trust God like you always do. And she was like, there's nothing wrong with you. You don't need to have a boyfriend right now. She's like, I know that you would want one, but it's not what God is calling you to right now. And it's not going to shake who you are. And she said something along the lines of that. And I just remember being like, you know what? Like, she's so right. And I can still show people to be strong while they're in the season of life when they aren't necessarily dependent on a boy or something. Because that was never really my testimony. I never really had a long-term relationship. In high school, I had this crush, I suppose. I really liked this kid for almost like 3 years. And it was like a really hard time for me. And I just remember my mom opening up to me that way, and it just helped my perspective so much. It just grounded me again, and it was really just reassuring, because sometimes we're human, so of course that can happen. But you just have to always remember that God has the best for you. He has the best intentions for you. And I just trust that, you know, he's gonna bring me someone that I need, and bring me the right one at the right time. And so fast forward a little bit, a couple months later, ironically, I ended up, you know, having a fallout with my friends in college. So it brought me to a church that I never anticipated really going back to, because I just was in college, I was having fun, I had all my friends, and I was, you know, playing soccer full time and doing school, so it was a lot. And I just didn't go to church. I just said I didn't have time for it. Like, you know, I was always a believer, but I never really put God like at the forefront. I kind of just did my own thing, and I was a good person, and I just didn't go to church. But sometimes God will shake your life so that things alter to get your attention, and that's exactly what he did with me. I had a fallout with a lot of my friends in college, which kind of left me shattered and heartbroken, so I didn't know where to turn. And I remember my nanny, who's my grandma, just invited me to church one day, and she was like, why don't you just come, because, you know, just come, it's refreshing, it's nice, and there's a lot of great people there. You could just see if you like it. You don't have to come back, you could just see if you like it. And I was just like, honestly, what do I have to lose at this point? I remember that day, I remember it was a Saturday night. I was home, and I was just, again, crying. I cried a lot throughout college. I was really sad because I saw all my friends going out, and I was just the only one home. And I was like, what like is my life right now? I just don't understand that, you know, what's going on, and why am I feeling so, I mean, I knew why I was feeling sad, but I was like, this can't be forever, because it just can't. This isn't like myself, and I hate feeling this way. And I just really felt like I wanted some comfort. I think that's what I was looking for, and I just couldn't find it anywhere. I couldn't find it in my mom or dad or counselors, therapists. Like, you know, I still would go to those people and they helped me a lot, but there was nothing that was like filling that hole that I had. And so I decided to just go to church because I was like, why not? I don't see the bad in this. I didn't really want to go. I remember I was like not excited. I kind of was just like yeah, whatever. So I went, not knowing that anything else was gonna happen, not knowing my life was gonna completely change. And so I went, and the first second I walked in, this woman was standing there and she stared at me. Actually, was it after the service? I think it was after the service. So I listened to the pastor speak. I don't even remember what it was. I do remember it like resonating with me, and I was just like crying the whole time because I think it was like about something to do with like when you're going through hard times, and I was just like bawling my eyes out. And I remember, so after the service I walked out and there was this woman standing there and she was with another woman, and they just looked like really peaceful, and I had no anticipation of going up and speaking to them, but my nanny knew who they were, so she was like, hi, this is my granddaughter Vanessa, like whatever, we're like, nice to meet you, like all that stuff. And the lady looked at me and she was just like, I have a word for you. And I was like, a what? Because I didn't know anything. I was like, you have a what for me? I didn't know what like prophecy was. I had really no idea because I grew up Catholic, so I had never gone to a church like this. And this church was called Bethany Assembly of God, and it's in Agawam, Massachusetts. So it's an Assembly of God church. And so anyways, I was there and she's like, you have a women's ministry and you're going to help many, many women and bring them together, and it's going to be amazing. And I was like, I have a what? I go, I don't want that. I'm like crying. I was like, I don't want a women's ministry. I want to be a fashion designer or something like that. I was like, I don't know what I want, but I don't want that. And she was like, you'll see. And so I was just very like, but there was this peace, like there was this like peace to me that everything was going to be okay. And she said, God is telling me to tell you he loves you so much, and everything's going to be okay. You don't have to worry. Like, don't worry. He's got your future locked in, like something like that. And I don't remember it specifically, but I just remember these two things that she said. So she said that, and then the next thing she said, because I remember it was either a month later or a couple of weeks prior to the story I told you where I was talking to my mom about this situation where I was really sad because I was single and like all my friends had like boyfriends, and I just felt like the odd one out. I felt like I was never gonna get married. I was like, I'm never gonna find my husband, and I always had this pressure that I had to like date someone really young because I've always wanted to get married young, and that I would just like find the right one at this like random time. And not that can't happen, but I had this specific like list that I was always anticipating to happen for myself, and when it didn't happen I would just get super down and be like, oh, that's it, I'm never gonna find anyone, even though I'm literally like 19 years old and we're so young. But because you have an expectation and it's not aligned with what God's expectation and what it's written as, so we just end up hurting ourselves. But I remember when I went to church, so then she starts talking to me, and what she looks at me and she goes, she said it like this, like she wasn't just like, oh, and the husband you has, like she was like, and girl, the husband God has for you, she's like, you are like, she was like, you are one lucky girl or something like that. And I literally, I literally bawled my eyes out. I was like, like what? Like, what did you just say? And she was like, oh my gosh, like the husband he's working on for you, like you have an amazing husband. And just the peace that came over my whole body, I literally felt, I genuinely actually remember this, I felt a weight off of my back just like lift off, and I just let out every emotion that I had. I was crying so hard because I think I just was like, I needed that, you know. And I think from that point forward my perspective on dating has just completely shifted, and I have this I don't know what it is, I have this thing about me that I just don't worry about it. I worry about a lot of other things in life, and you know, there's things that I still struggle with as a Christian, dealing with and worry and things like that, but there's just something about my husband I'm not worried about. I've never been since that day, I've never been worried about it. So I just want to share the story with you because I want it to encourage you. Not that you have to hear what I heard, that you have a husband and God promised you a husband, because I know what it feels like if he hasn't said that to you. But I just want to reassure you that take this as a sign that it's gonna work out, and there is a way with God, and you can have trust and faith in him that it's gonna work out. And when you put that on him, it gets taken off of you, and you don't have to sit and wonder and cry if there's someone out there for you, if you're ever gonna find them, if you have to achieve and do more. And that's what I always felt like I had to do. I always felt like I had to put myself out there. Like if I wasn't at the bar, I would never find someone. If I wasn't at this place, like I wouldn't find them either. Like if I wasn't striving and climbing the ladder, if my followers weren't going up, they wouldn't think I'm as cool. If I wasn't, I don't know, if I wasn't doing certain things on social media, that they wouldn't be attracted to me. So it was all these things that I kept feeling like I had to strive for, and it was never happening. I was still not finding my husband. So clearly I felt like I was doing something wrong. And when she spoke those words over me, I literally felt like God was just speaking to me saying, you don't have to do anything. I've got it taken care of. All you have to do is focus on me. Focus on your life. You're so young. You haven't even seen the world yet. You're still in school. You have goals. You have things I need to do for you. Supposedly I had a women's ministry that I didn't know about. And, I was still going through so much hurt. Like for me to have a boyfriend at that time, I feel like God just saved me a lot of pain, because I don't even know how that would have worked. I feel like I would have just put all of my love and all of my sadness and emotions into that boy, and instead of that, God wanted me to put it into him. So if you are in a season of singleness, look at it like a blessing, because there's just more room for you to grow, more room for you to improve. We have a guest. She just walked in. Wanna say hi?
Hello. Hi.
Remember, you were there.
Yep.
You were there. Remember when Margie said to me, I was talking to them about singleness, and then she told me that that God had a husband. Remember, she was like, in the husband he has for you. She was like, whoa. Like,
yes, God has plans for you. Doesn't reveal until it's time.
Right. But
I
was
to preparing you.
I know. I was telling them how before I used to cry and be stressed out because all my friends would have boyfriends, and I would be the only one who didn't. And then I went to church that day, and she said that to me.
Yeah.
But singleness is important, right, Nani? Because you grow.
Yes. Yeah. God don't give you anything that you can handle. He prepare you for something better.
Right. Well, you heard it here first.
And as long as you've got a time.
Yes, I know.
All right.
That's true.
Bye.
I don't really remember where I left off, but yeah, honestly, being single is a blessing, and you just have to have hope, faith, and do your part, and pray for your husband, and do things that make you want to become the person you want when you're ready to meet them. And just be obedient and like follow the path that God has for you, and you won't have to do anything. He'll bring the right person at the right time. And I just hope you can find peace and reassurance in this video. And if you are dating someone, that is like so amazing. I feel like I love seeing people work together as a couple and go through hard times, and really just like, it's really like a selfless act, and it's more than just what everyone else thinks it can be sometimes, just attraction and things like that. So I think when you're ready, God's gonna do just that and give you everything and more. So I hope that you guys really enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, because it really helps my channel. And if you want more videos like this, you can always DM me or leave a comment, and I'd be happy to make more like this. Thank you so much again for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.